Hi everyone, once again, Tim N2LCJ with part 2 of my series on my upcoming SOTA or POTA activation. Now, in the last episode, we discussed the Kenwood TS-430V radio, which I'll be using. This is the Japan market version of the American TS-430S, and this has an output of 10 watts. I purchased it from Japan, from eBay seller Japan Store Happy, and it's working great. Now, the first thing I did after I determined that it was working was to find out how much juice this thing draws to see how much of a battery I'm going to need. Well, this thing's an energy pig. On receive, it draws 2 amps, and full transmit in CW on 10 watts, it draws 7 amps. Now, a quick internet calculator told me that in order to operate this with a 50% duty cycle for 8 hours, I would need a battery that would be 20 amp hours. So that's going to be a big battery for a radio that's not real efficient, but we're going to push ahead with that. I'm still undergoing the decision process of what battery I'm going to use, depending on what I'm going to be taking to get to the event. Am I going to be riding the motorcycle? Am I going to be just taking the car? But we got to do some testing first. And the next stage is to determine the antenna that I'm going to need to do this. So what I did is today the wife and I drove out to a couple different sites, one for a potential POTA activation and one for a Summits on the Air. The Summits on the Air, what I did was I looked up the tallest summit in my general area, which ended up being close to a 2-hour drive towards the Pennsylvania line from Buffalo, New York. It's called the Guernsey Benchmark, and it's 2,180 feet above sea level. And I thought this would be ideal. Now, the one thing that these summits don't tell you is there any place to park? Can you set up? Is it on public land, private land, whatever? So I decided to do a little recon. And you're going to see that recon coming up next. Take a look. Well, we're out here scouting out spots for our Summits on the Air activation. And we're at one of the highest points in the western part of New York State. This is called the Guernsey Benchmark, 2,180 feet above sea level. Now, when you're looking for these parks or summits, they don't tell you if there's actually a place to park. So, amazingly enough, we found a park right over here. This is Erlinson Overview Park in the town of Frewsburg, New York. Now, today it's 4 degrees out and it's absolutely freezing, so the wife and I decided to take a ride and try and find some of these summits. So, I was able to take my Baofeng and I was able to hit into the local repeater that I talk on back in Buffalo full scale. So I think this is going to be a good place for Summits on the Air. Now the park is actually closed. It goes all the way up this hill right over here. So it's going to be a great spot for an activation once the weather gets warmer. Now we're going to travel to a couple more destinations and see what there is to see. Scout out a few more places for a summit or a park on the air. Welcome to Dobbins Memorial State Park and the one shelter in the park. This is actually a huge, well, not huge, but it's a fairly decent sized parking lot. Not a real big area, but my God, we are in some forests here, and it seems once again that we make it into the repeater. Now this would be an ideal site for a POTA because it is a state park. As you can tell, it's not what I would call well maintained, but yeah, I think this is going to be the site for the POTA. The Summit on the Air, the last spot was amazing. And there's the sign showing where we're at. Yeah, there's not many signs of life around here, but it is a beautiful place. On to the last stop. Well, as you can see, there were supposed to be 3 stops in the video. I got a little road weary after driving a couple 100 miles on really snowy, crappy roads and going through snow to try and get to these places. So you know what? Decided to head home. Temperature didn't get above 10 degrees today. Anyways, I'm really thinking that these 2 sites are going to be ideal for the POTA and SOTA activations, but there may be others, and I'm sure there will be others upcoming. In the future follow-up videos, we're going to be doing a test with an antenna and a battery and checking into different nets to see how well I can be heard. As far as the antenna goes, I've decided that I'm going to be going with the OM0ET magnetic loop antenna, which is about a week and a half out. Unfortunately, they're sold out and they're making them. I had investigated a lot of different things like the Wolf River coils, Take It Along, and the Buddy Pole antennas, but I wanted something a little bit more portable, depending on how this shakes out. And if I'm going to be doing this on the motorcycle, in the car, whatever, I wanted the options. So we're going to be trying this. I think the antenna design is really slick, and I'm looking forward to getting it. So we're going to be doing follow-up videos as things progress with the battery and the antenna. But hey, everything's looking good. I had a lot of fun today going out and scoping out these sites, and I'm sure I'll be finding a couple more. But one thing's for sure, I don't think I'll be able to do anything until the snow disappears. Until next time, Tim, N2LCJ. See you on the air.